And I have been telling this story for so many years. This is my 37th season here at Silver Dollar City. And I'm still 2 years behind Greg Becker, who plays the hammer dulcimer in the bass. Yeah. This whole bunch of musicians are just knock-down, drag-out musicians. And my husband stole this story from me because he needed it. It's in the marriage vows. For richer, for poorer, for stealing each other's material. And some of the things he did to this story I liked so much that I stole them back from him. So as I go through the story, I will try to remember to do this. When I have just said something that was Richard's addition to the story, I will say ding, okay? Yes, I will try to get a ding or three in here, okay? Here we go. Tiny little young'uns. We decided, the both of us, years ago, that there's really only 4 stages of development that the children go through. When they first come up, what you got is a baby potato. They don't do nothing but lay there and eat and poop. Then they get a little bigger and they start crawling around on the floor, and that they become rugrats. Everybody knows that. They go through an intermediate phase that years ago I named ankle biters. We'll get back to that. And then they become tall and long-legged and go off to school and become yard apes and become somebody else's problem. Ding. Now, how you know your child is an ankle biter is this. Them little critters is just walking and talking pretty good, and they have a voice that will pierce steel, and they will ask the most embarrassing questions you can possibly imagine, and they will say them until the house is full of company or the preacher comes for Thursday night visitation. Either one of them two will do. Ding. Yes. Now, here's Grandpa and the preacher sitting on the divan, slurping little cups of sassafras tea, and a little ankle biter comes over, leans up against Grandpa's leg, actually removes his finger out of his nose briefly, and while lovingly wiping his hand on Granddaddy's breeches, looks up, and in that sweet, dear voice he says, "Grandpapa!" That's the voice. "How come you see them two strange dogs meeting each other for the first time? Why is the first thing them dogs do is rush over there and go to sniffing on each other's tails?" Preacher almost bit a chunk out of his teacup at that point. But Granddaddy, who takes them kid questions as a challenge, he is not going to say, "I don't know." He is going to lie. And the yard apes that taught that question to that ankle biter know that. And they're listening and giggling. So Granddaddy says, "Honey, there's a reason for that. Years and years ago, all the dogs on Sunday morning would go to the dog church." Y'all didn't know that, obviously. Trust me. All the dogs go to church. When they get into the dog church, to be polite, each and every one of them dogs, they'll come into the dog church, they take their tail off, they hang it on the tail rack. Just like men don't go into church with a hat on, not polite. Dogs take their tails off, hang them up. They go in, sit on the dog pews, sing dog hymns, except they call that one bringing in the sheep. They will listen to the dog preaching. And one morning, the dog preacher's up there preaching up a storm, and a spark blew right through the screen of the in front of the fireplace. Set the rug on fire before the dog preacher could even whimper. It has set on fire. Them gauze curtains has just been bought the week before to keep up with the cat Methodists. Ding. And the dog preacher, he hollers, "Ho, ho, which in case you don't speak dog, I'll translate. That means fire, fire. Your church house is on fire. Y'all dogs they did, jumped in a panic, thundered out the door, and as they went by that tail rack, every one of them dogs jumped up, grabbed the first tail that came to it, and went on. Honey, not a one of them dogs managed to get his paws on his rightful tail. And to this day, that's what them dogs is doing. They're still looking for their very own tails.